Oversoul Brewing in Helena, Alabama. So I grew up in Pleasant Grove, Alabama, so about 30 minutes here from Helena, give or take. Um, nothing crazy, nothing major. We moved out to Helena probably, I believe we're around the 8 year mark at this point. I absolutely love it here in Shelby County in general. So we moved to Helena kind of just from Hoover to get a little smaller. Not weren't super fond of the Hoover area, just with all the chaos, especially on holidays. We actually lived right by the Galleria, so that was a little bit of a hectic time for us. But yeah, so we moved out here, and around that time, I want to say 2006. My brother and I kind of got the urge to start trying and drinking craft beers, different beers. At that point in time in Alabama, that wasn't a thing. I believe we might have had one brewery that popped up around '06, and that was our friends over at Good People. And so they're still up in one of our larger ones. So we started, yeah, doing the normal home brewing thing, brewing, and it started off in the backyard on some turkey fryer burners, and then we eventually were able to convince my brother's wife to let us set up in his garage, and we brewed at we finally got indoors where we didn't freeze to death while we were trying to brew in the wintertime. Um, so we set up our cool little bar and brewery in there, and we did that for a couple of years. It was mainly just because we wanted to try new beers that we were traveling, having to go to like North Carolina and things like that to drink different beers, and we just wanted to try to play around with our own stuff. So we started doing it just so we could have a variety, and yeah, it was basically for us and our friends. We'd ask people to chip in what they could or whatever, and then we'd brew a batch of beer and then have a party to have everybody over to drink it. So we started doing that, and then it kind of got to where we were seeing all these little small batch breweries pop up, and it wasn't just the big guys anymore. It was small guys that were doing it part time, very small systems, not a huge footprint. So we just decided that, hey, if they could do it, maybe we could give it a shot. It didn't have to be a big major thing. We were both working full-time jobs and have families and whatnot. So we just started, I moved to Helena, and I kind of, as soon as I stepped foot in the Old Town area, I just, man, this is where we should probably try to do this. There's nothing this side out of Jefferson County. I believe we might have had the wineries out, like Corbin, I believe, might have been out in that area at that point. But so we just decided to give it a shot, and luckily we had a few connections that we didn't even know about in the city, and were able to make some friends really fast, and everybody jumped on board with us. Sheer luck, we were able to find a building right in the heart of Old Town. It literally looked at every spot we could, and they just weren't working out. So we started to get a little disheartened, and okay, well, maybe this isn't the thing, and we'll figure it out. And then one day our building popped up. I saw a random post on Facebook asking why the business that was there wasn't operating anymore. So we were able to jump in and get it. And that was about, I guess we're up to about 2017 at this point, I believe. And my brother and I went in, and we gutted it on our own, and we basically redid the building on our own dime. It took a little while. People were starting to get frustrated with us, and when are you opening? When are you opening? And so we figured, hey, well, at least we know there's a demand at this point. Right, we gutted the building down, stripped it out, rebuilt all down inside in the basement area, our brewing area. We were able to get open with 4 beers on tap in 2019 during Helena's Buck Creek Festival. Was our opening weekend, and So that was 2019, and here we are. I'm three kids heavier now than when we started, and we're all still we're rocking and rolling. We've got a new head brewer that works with us, Josh. He was actually a manager, a GM for the Beer Hog over in Pelham for a few years, and then he kind of started doing some bartending work for us, and then moved over into that position as the head brewer. So he's been head brewer for us now, I think, going on 2 years. So yeah. We're still maintaining the double life. It's hectic sometimes, but it's worth it. I think in the long run. We are kind of in our slower time of the month or year. Just the holidays, everything. Football season kind of slows us down. So it's a little hectic, but it's doable, and the passion's there. It's just being in Helena in general. I kind of get the feeling sometimes that if it wasn't working, we would be letting a lot of people down. So I don't want to do that. So we're gonna keep keep pushing forward with it, and yeah. So maybe one day it won't be a labor of love, and then it'll be a full time gig. So. Yes, we started with four. So now we are up to, I believe we have six actual beers on tap, and then we usually rotate two seltzers because we started finding out that we were missing the mark on some non beer drinkers. We really didn't want to go the wine route. Definitely didn't want to do the liquor route. So we started doing seltzers, and out of nowhere, I'm a big margarita fan, so that's one of my favorite outside of beer drinks. So we started doing a margarita flavored seltzer. We bumped up the ABV on it a little bit to give everybody that wasn't into beer something, and it blew up, and we cannot keep that seltzer on tap. Can't make it quick enough. We started doing those and a couple other little flavored seltzers just to kind of hit that mark. And then we have our six beers, not necessarily a core anymore. We are on such a small batch system that we're able to play with beers and rotate our lineup constantly. Yeah, so we've done a few like crazy wild beers. I want to say my favorite and probably the craziest one was it was a bread pudding white stout. So a caramel bread pudding white stout. And we did that actually in collaboration with a restaurant down the street, which is a Dondi and Shell's Food Oasis. Shelly makes some of the best bread pudding you'll ever taste. And so I brought in some just for the brewer and some of our bartenders to taste, and I was like, I want to try to do a beer. We ended up doing a white stout, which, if you're not kind of familiar with that, it's essentially all the full bodiness and flavors of a stout, but without like the chocolate malts in it. So it pours like a clean yellow beer, but it's got all the flavor and body of a stout. So usually a little heavier ABV. So this one was full of just caramel and vanilla, and just it was an amazing beer. That one, and then I would probably say the we did a coffee stout with another one of our local old town businesses, Day Soul. So we used their bourbon barrel aged coffee into a chocolate. So basically chocolate, and then we did maple syrup into that one too. So that was a good holiday beer. Being on that small batch system, we can do stuff like that because if it's terrible, then hey, it's not going to take long to sell out. But thankfully, nothing terrible has ever come out of there, in my opinion. We bring in occasionally food trucks. And then, of course, we have four restaurants within walking distance of us. And we work well with those guys. Some of them deliver to us. And then you're always welcome to bring anything you want to in with you. We don't shy away from that. Yeah, absolutely. Family friendly, dog friendly, kid friendly. We absolutely welcome that. We love having families in, so we're not warding people off that way. Yeah, being that close to the park, a lot of the times they just some people set up in the courtyard, and you can still see your kids out there in the park, and it's a great environment. Old Town is entertainment district. I think we've been labeled that for going on 2 years now, maybe. So yeah, as long as you're in the approved plastic cup, which is basically your clear cup with a logo of where you bought it, you're allowed to roam. Obviously, you're not allowed to go into other places that serve alcohol. But yeah, you're park up and down the street. You can do the shops. Some of the shops allow you to walk in with your beer, and then that works out great for our concert series that goes on out there every year, and things like, and then the festivals that go on. It was obviously scary to have just opened a business and to be told that you couldn't operate it the way you had planned. But we swapped over to go sales. We started doing growler fills. We brought in plastic growlers to kind of, so people didn't have to purchase glass and things like that. Um, so we did basically, we set a table up on the front porch and sold out the front door. Kind of adjusted our hours so we could kind of meet when people were driving through, and instead of having to make the trip on purpose. Um, but I mean, the city showed out. I mean, I would almost say sometimes better than our normal business hours. I guess just to support us. So we do what are we're Wednesday through Sunday. I think like Wednesday is normally our bingo trivia night, and that's from 5 to 9. And then we do Thursday, which is our open mic night. We do 5 to 10. Friday, normally live music night, so 5 to 10 as well. Saturday is 1 to 10, and Sunday is 1 to 6. Definitely our location is a main factor. We're not the smallest batch brewery. I think we got one a little bit smaller than us down in over in Birmingham. But I think with just us, we rotate our selection so often. Just from being a small batch brewery, everything is small. You can only get it there. That gives people you don't walk into our place and you may see one or two beers that you've seen on that wall before, but chances are there's going to be something different for you to try every single time you come in there. A lot of our beers that we do, like collab beers and like fruited beers, things like that, being such a small batch, you get a lot of fresher ingredients and that stuff. So say we're doing a fruited sour, we're not using a lot of like syrups and flavoring and things to do those beers. We're using actual fruits. When we do our collaborations, the bread pudding one, we threw a big pan of bread pudding into the mash. That's what we do. We're a grain to glass. Everything is from bags of grain and hops to all the way straight to your glass. There's no crazy machines and bag beers and things like that. So we're a small batch grain to glass. Favorite type of beer? I would probably say I'm a dessert stout guy. Like I like now, regular stouts are fine, but if you throw some donuts or some cake into a steak or not a steak, I'm sorry, a stout. Yeah, that's a coffee or dessert style stout or a pastry stout. I think that's what most of it's called. But yeah, those would be my favorite styles. Yeah. I would have to say anywhere on the Cahaba River. I'm into fly fishing. I love to fish. We have a very diverse uh, fishery right here in Helena, or starting in Helena and moving its way down. I'm a huge fan of yeah, getting in my boat and slinging a fly rod. Yeah, it's great. Being this close proximity to what we have here, and a lot of people don't. I mean, don't take advantage of it. Like, stay out of the water. But yeah, no, yeah. So in having good organizations like Cobber River Keepers here to help us take care of that as well. But yeah, I would say just fishing the Cahaba if we had to be here in Shelby. Yep, absolutely.